Welcome into Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the possibility that Goran Dragic, one of the most sought-after buyout candidates, signs with Golden State because this morning he officially agreed to a buyout with the San Antonio Spurs. And Golden State expected to, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, aggressively pursue Dragic as a backup point guard option. So with that, I ask you this, Dub Nation, do you want the Warriors to sign Dragic? Get into the comment section right now before we officially hop into today's show. Type AI for all in, AO for all out. Get those votes in, and let's start today's show. The news was finally made official this morning. According to Shams Charania, Goran Dragic and the San Antonio Spurs, following that trade on NBA trade deadline day, was made official. Now, Dragic immediately becomes one of the top NBA buyout candidates, and now he is free to sign with any team in NBA free agency. And there are expected to be a lot of suitors for Dragic, who is a very good point guard, who can either start on a lot of playoff teams or serve as a very, very good backup on a lot of playoff contending teams as well. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, he put this list out over the weekend for a lot of teams who are expected to be some of the primary suitors for Dragic, who has a bevy of playoff experience throughout his NBA career and a lot of international experience playing in big games overseas as well. The market is expected to be very, very vast among those 6 teams that we just filtered through on your screen. And coming up later on today's show, we're going to kind of break down which teams fit best for Dragic to go to, because this is a very, very good player who can really move the needle for a lot of playoff contending teams who are in the mix of a playoff spot in the Eastern and Western conferences, but can also really be a very good player on a lot of those playoff teams as well. This coming from Jordan Schultz, in addition to some of those teams that Woj had talked about. As expected, Goran Dragic has agreed to a buyout with the Spurs. Sources say the Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, among others, are all interested in acquiring the veteran point guard. Here's an interesting wrinkle. Don't rule out the Brooklyn Nets, because Steve Nash and Dragic were teammates way back in Phoenix, or the Chicago Bulls, 2 playoff teams who'd love to add a former All-Star that can play both on and off ball. And that positional versatility for Dragic is why he's so attractive to a lot of these teams who are going to be vying for his services, in addition to him having a lot of playoff experience. So as we further this process on today's show, I want to ask you to get into the comment section once more. If you're new to us here at Chat Sports, we're all about the audience interaction, baby. Which team will land Goran Dragic? Look into the crystal ball and predict it for me right now in the comment section. Dragic really became a high-level playmaker and a very respected point guard during his 7 seasons with the Miami Heat. He was also a very good player with the Phoenix Suns, but he really burst onto the scene as an all-star caliber player in South Beach, as that organization has just done a tremendous job of bringing the best out of players and developing players over time. That's a Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra effect. 7 years in South Beach, 16 points per game, 5 dimes, shot a little less than 46% from the floor, and sub 37% from beyond the arc, with a lot of volume there. He was even better in the playoffs, because Dragic is really a player who has a great feel for the game, and because he has that international experience, playing in a bunch of big games with Team Slovenia, and has played in a bunch of big games in the NBA playoffs, nothing really seems to affect him. He's such a flat liner. Like some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, he's never overtaken or overwhelmed by the moment. Almost 18 points per game throughout his playoff career with the Miami Heat in 4 playoff trips, 4 dimes, 44.5% from the deck, and about 35% from beyond the arc. So Dragic can stretch the floor, he can play make, he can put the ball on the deck, really set up himself as well as his teammates. And that's why a lot of teams look at Dragic, even though he's a little bit older, and they want to bring him into the equation because he can start games for you, he can come in off the bench, but also he can play on ball as the primary disher or play off ball as well as a spot-up shooter. Now, our main Chat Sports YouTube channel is approaching 280,000 subscribers, a little more than 300 away. And we've been pushing out multiple NBA videos per week, and we're going to continue to ramp up our coverage now that we're closing in on the NBA playoffs, NBA mock drafts, latest news and rumors. We have you covered not just now, but year-round. So make sure you go to youtube.com/chatsportstv and subscribe to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Let's get to 280,000 subscribers as we close in on another milestone here at Chat Sports. Today's sponsor, Fanatics, and they have some phenomenal deals for all of the true hoopers out there with some really good deals on some NBA hoodies. Here's the deal though, in order to get those deals, you must plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/NBA hoodie. If you're a fan of a team or teams in the East and West, there are a bunch of deals for a bunch of great hoodies for you right now. I'm going to put that link in the comment section as well as the description of this video. No matter which team you're a fan of, there's an NBA hoodie available for you. But you must plug in that link, chatsports.com/NBA hoodie, for that deal to apply. The Los Angeles Lakers are said to have a lot of interest in Goran Dragic, and I really like the fit for a multitude of reasons. He is a much-needed floor general for a team that doesn't really have that at the point guard spot, because I don't look at Russell Westbrook as a prototypical point guard who is a floor general. He can serve as a floor spacer as well, and right now Los Angeles lacks that outside of Malik Monk and Wayne Ellington. The Russell Westbrook experiment has been very, very rocky because, look, while he plays with a lot of aggressiveness, he doesn't have that calming nature to his game like a Goran Dragic, and I think Los Angeles really needs that as we progress during this NBA season. I think Dragic would really help late-game execution, and he would be that calming presence offensively. Los Angeles Lakers not going to be the only team in the mix for Dragic's services, and I think the Warriors are a really good fit as well as a Goran Dragic destination. Lakers and Warriors, two of my favorite destinations for Goran. Does he want a ring? If that's the case, then he can get a ring with the Golden State Warriors. Now, of course, he probably might not start with Golden State at the point guard spot because that position is owned by Steph Curry. But if he wants to win an NBA championship, he fits really nicely on this Warriors roster. Right now, he's better than any backup point guard option on that team, which Bob Myers has done a great job of just putting a bunch of pieces together. Although the Warriors have been struggling of late, Dragic would really help them kind of get out of that slump right now. He's a playmaking option outside of Steph Curry and gives Golden State so much lineup versatility for the reasons that I talked about earlier. He can play with Steph Curry. If Steph Curry's off the floor, then Dragic can be that primary ball handler and point guard option. That lineup versatility makes Golden State really dangerous, and right now, Golden State already a very dangerous club with the second best record in the NBA. Here at Chat Sports, we have a competition going on between Golden State Warriors today and the Los Angeles Lakers Report. Now, the Lakers Report has more than 41,000 subscribers, but Warriors Today and that channel has been really hot, and they're starting to close the gap a little bit on the Lakers Report. So if you're a Lakers fan, subscribe to the Lakers Report. If you're a Warriors fan, subscribe to Warriors Today. We love rivalries here at Chat Sports. Let's see if we can close the gap with both of those channels, or if the Lakers Report can distance their gap on Warriors Today. How about the Chicago Bulls? Really interesting team in the NBA landscape because they're the best that they've been in a really long time. They're all in on chasing success. And Dragic right now, you team him up with Zach LaVine and Vucevic and some of the other really good players on that roster. Of course, we have to talk about DeMar DeRozan being a bona fide MVP candidate this year. I feel as though a lot of people are sleeping on him with being an MVP candidate, but he's been one of the best players in the NBA. A reason why Chicago could be all in on bringing Dragic to the Windy City. Lonzo Ball still out, so too is Alex Caruso, and I think the on-court fit really does work for Chicago because he can help fill the gaps until Lonzo and Caruso come back, but once they do come back, You can never have enough depth in the NBA. Milwaukee Bucks, also a team in on Dragic, and it's easy to see why. In my opinion, Milwaukee is the best team in the Eastern Conference. Yes, the Miami Heat over the last couple of games and last couple of weeks have been owning that number one spot in the Eastern Conference, but frankly, I think Milwaukee is the better team. They matched up well with Miami last year in the playoffs. They're the defending NBA champions, for God's sake, and this is a roster with arguably the most dominant player in the NBA right now in Giannis. Dragic as a backup to Jrue Holiday. You get offense and defense with Jrue, and you get offense with Dragic, and again, he can play on-ball, off-ball. The Serge Ibaka trade at the NBA trade deadline was sneaky good. I feel as though a lot of people aren't talking about that as one of the best depth additions on NBA trade deadline day. They needed a center, and Serge Ibaka is a very good one. He's also been playing very well and can help a championship team and play in a playoff series, and Dragic is a championship-level player on a team that's ready to go back-to-back and compete for yet another NBA championship. Lastly, the Brooklyn Nets. I actually don't like the fit for a couple of reasons. Yes, Dragic has that connection with Steve Nash because they played with one another in Phoenix, so there's a level of familiarity there. But the Brooklyn Nets already have Kyrie Irving, who's going to play dominant on the ball. Ben Simmons can play off-ball, on-ball as a point guard, but you have him as well, and he's expected to join the team sometime soon. He addressed the media today, addressing some of those mental health issues. But you also have Patty Mills, and Cam Thomas has been playing well of late. So where does Goran Dragic fit into the equation with the Brooklyn Nets? For Goran, if he wanted to go to Brooklyn, this would strictly be a ring-chasing move, but I don't think the on-court fit really makes that much sense. But can Steve Nash add to the depth by bringing Dragic in because of that level of familiarity? Potentially. So before we head out of here, which team is the best fit for Goran Dragic? Get into the comment section once more and give me the best team that fits Dragic the most. And thank you so much for watching today's show. Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and join the Chat Sports family.